All right, this will be about the Bible, and it might be a long one. All right, as Rome conquered lands, they accepted the religions that came with it, except Christianity. For some reason, they persecuted the Christians. Then around the 3rd century, Constantine the Great came in power. He decided to unite the religions into one, and that would give him better control. So the year 313, Christianity became the official religion to the Roman Empire, which is in Italy. To help unite, he gave Christian clergy legal privileges, and they had to pay no taxes. The emperor wanted to be worshipped, so he combined the Christianity with the mantras of the sun god of Rome. The Roman Catholic Church began filtrating into the church some of the symbols used in the pagan worship. Sun god they identified Jesus with, thus putting images that resembled the sun all over the church. He also made the first day of the week a holiday, called it Sunday, in the year 321. Christ's birth became December 25th, which was the birth of the sun. Constantine continued to conquer lands and convert the people to his form of Christianity. One of the reasons the Roman Catholic became the #1 church of the world because of Constantine. He also made the Vatican a state. He legislated the kissing of the Pope's feet. So in the Middle Ages, you could no longer tell the difference of the combination because it was so widespread. They made it illegal to go against the church, and they made it seem like if you rebelled against your own country, and the marriage of church and state became one. The Pope had absolute power because he was protected by the emperor and vice versa. Constantine offered various church leaders money to develop a canal that would be used by all Christians in 325. They got together and scribed what was called the Nicene Creed. Based on what they wanted in the books, it would be agreed upon, and it would be called the Bible. Pope Gregory VII claimed that the Pope could not be judged by anyone on earth and could dethrone emperors and kings. As a matter of fact, he dethroned Emperor Henry IV, and the church began to abuse its power in Europe during anything that they felt, even murder, and nothing could be done about it. Pope Leo X enjoyed art. He invited artists to the church, and it was decorated with lavish artwork. When he ran out of money, he started to print a pledge, which is a certificate for giving sin, and that they could go into heaven if they gave money. And only God can forgive sins. But he called his certificate indulgence. It was a way to pay for your salvation. Okay, the church had inquisitions in 1163. Pope Alexander III labeled those who read the Bible heretics. Okay, now let's go to Martin Luther real quick. And once I read about Martin Luther, to tell you more. He was a Roman Catholic priest. He had a close to death experience in a storm. And based on that storm, he decided to go into the monastery. 2 weeks later, he ended up going into the monastery. And the monastery had sent him to Wittenberg, which is the area in Germany, where he became a professor of studies. As he studied and realized the Bible was different than what he thought and what he was raised up to be, Pope Leo X was in charge at the time, as he was into spending and making money. He was the one who decided to sell indulgence in the time of Martin Luther for money. In 1517, Martin became upset. He was no longer listening. He became upset because most of his students would no longer listen to his studies. They were more interested in paying for their salvation. So Martin Luther ended up writing a 95 Thesis and attached it to the door, which was basically, what would you call it? Crucifying or defying against what Pope Leo was doing. But it angered the Pope, and he was charged with heresy. And Martin Luther was supposed to leave. In the midst of him doing this, it caused an uprising because people was reading these theses, he called, and it was giving them courage. And at that time, Pope Leo X ended up condemning him. The printing press came about, and they were able to print more of his theses as more people were learning about it. So as people begin to read these theses, they begin to coming together and understanding that what the church had been telling them was different than what you were reading, is that you can get your own salvation through faith, and you didn't need a go-between like the church had prophesied. A papal bull was issued, and he threw it in the fire. He refused the authority of the church and council. He was kidnapped so the church authorities would not get him. And so while he was in isolation, he decided to translate the scriptures into German. While in the midst of doing this, a resolution began, which started the Reformation. But the thing about Luther was he was Roman Catholic, and anything that was not his idea was wrong. And he was not into Judaism. He condemned it. But Martin Luther, most of his writings, which was the Roman Catholic way, helped found the pilgrims that came to the United States. They called it, Protestantism movement or whatever. That was the pilgrims. I'm going to go to part 2 now.